global conglomerate Hitachi, in partnership with the Times Network, organized the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum 2016. The forum aimed to address increasingly complex rapid urbanization issues through collaborative creation. On the previous episode of the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum 2016, we saw a panel discussion revolving around the importance of a robust IT infrastructure and how it is crucial for businesses to sustain and succeed in a fast-paced environment. Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum 2016. While the government and private organizations are working to improve India's infrastructure, our panel of speakers deliberated on how railway capacity in India can be increased with the help of information technology and information communication technology.
The first theme that we are addressing today is how can you increase railway capacity and reliability through IT and ICT. And let's start off with Mr. Prabhat Sahai. How can IT and ICT help resolve these issues, sir?
Today, as far as railways are concerned, we have a capacity constraint in almost all the sections, including Mumbai suburban. And technology is available, both in terms of IT and ICT, to improve safety, security, improve throughput, asset management. It's only a question of adopting it to Indian Railways in its present form and overlaying it on the existing systems. And with the emphasis our minister is placing on assimilating new technology, I'm sure in the years to come we'll be doing that in a very professional manner.
Would you like to add to that, sir?
Yeah, what Mr. Prabhat Sai has said is very correct, because there are only two ways of increasing the line capacity: to increase the infrastructure, additional lines. But then we have limited space, and especially in Mumbai area, there is no land available. So the another option is to use the IT and ICT technology to increase the line capacity. So we are going in that direction to increase the line capacity with the help of some funding from the government and some funding from the private.
Land acquisition is definitely an aspect that we will address in the coming sessions. Going ahead, my next question is, can ICT efficiently connect siloed rail lines into a network and also improve the traffic efficiency for the entire city? Mangal, if you could set the ball rolling over here.
See, ICT and IT plays a very important role in networking different railway lines. Whether these railway lines are the main line like the suburban lines or the metro lines or other modes of transport. So connecting all these lines together, I can only quote through an example in Tokyo metropolitan area, where the entire network of railway lines is connected to a common operational control center. Through this operational control center, you are able to efficiently run these trains and know when the disruption happens and how to come out of these disruptions. So there are ways and means of doing it, but then there has to be a possibility of connecting these railway networks together through IT. I don't know how much that will be immediately relevant to Mumbai, but definitely when you plan for new lines, the metro lines, you could plan in such a way that you have a common operational control center which is able to run the train more efficiently and understand the operation in a better way.
All right. What's the scope, Mr. Agarwal, if you could like to add some more to what Mangal just contributed?
From my experience in Delhi Metro, I'll try to stress on that.
Definitely. We would love to hear your perspective.
Maybe some of the people are familiar with the layout of Delhi Metro. It is at the moment total radial structure. And just for the integration purpose, we are now making some kind of circular lines. So that is where that integration is going to happen. Interchange will be better. We are already running, as Mr. Dev was saying, we are already running since the beginning a control center, 2 control centers, where we are able to monitor everything. So to enhance capacity, to monitor better, integration and monitoring at a control center is very much required. And that can be applicable to suburban traffic also, like Mumbai.
There are clearly many lessons that both cities, Bombay and Delhi, can learn from each other.
Yeah.
How can the administration improve the overall operational efficiency in Mumbai, sir? And given the growing size of the rail network, given the growing demand, and the intensifying interaction between rail lines, especially in transfer stations and hubs, if you could throw some light on how the efficiency overall can be improved.
You see, earlier in the early 80s, we used to have a few services, and over the years, the demand increased, and as Prabhat Sai and Mr. Akhil Agarwal has said, that there was no option but to go in for IT solutions. We introduced AWS in late 80s or early 90s, which gave us the freedom to increase the number of trains, because the driver was very, very confident of not causing the collision. Even if he failed in some respect, the system itself would avoid collision. So that is how we have used this system, the IT, to the increasing the capacity. And just supplementing what they said in the beginning as to how it has helped otherwise in building the capacity, I'll just give a specific example. You know, our locos in the railways, they are plying all over the length and breadth of the country, and we have to monitor their health. And for that, one doesn't have to be there necessarily on the loco. Now their health can be monitored sitting in the control room, which is the base shed. And if we know that the loco is misbehaving, we can pass on the instructions to the person who's manning it, so that the fault can be attended. Now, had it not been done so, perhaps the loco would have failed. It would have blocked the section. It would have caused disruption to other trains. So all this has been possible only because of adoption of high technology.
Ma'am, would you like to share your experience on this issue? On the entire issue of how ICT and IT can help improve the overall operational efficiency. What's your experience been, ma'am?
I'm from a planning perspective point of view, I'm giving my view. I'm from MMRDA, as you all know, it's an entire planning body. We are implementing metro and mono. So in metro rail and monorail, we have the applications of IT and ICT. It is helping commuters a lot in terms of safety, security, and also passenger information system, and also integrating with other modes and all that. So suburban rail system is the lifeline of Mumbai.
Absolutely.
So they are really traveling in subhuman conditions. The density at the moment is 12 passengers per square meter as against international standards of 5 to 6 passengers per square meter. So they need really better treatment. So with limited cost investment, we need to have some solutions immediately which can be visible with the help of IT and ICT. So our railways are into that. I think under MUTP 3 and subsequent programs, we have several projects where technology improvements can be done.
I'm sure the people of Virar would concur with you, ma'am, because that's one of the busiest and one of the most notorious lines in Mumbai when it comes to local travel. Bruno, before I toss it back to my co-anchor, I've been to Italy. I've traveled there last year, and I've traveled on the Italy rail. I'll reserve my feedback. You're the expert. How do you think ICT has played a role? Could you give us a global feel?
Yes, from the perspective, I mean, I come from the rolling stock manufacturer. From the perspective of the rolling stock, services provided on the train, on board the train, can be divided in two categories. One is services related to the actual trip. So the passenger can know exactly next stop, connections, delays, and all sorts of things. And other types of services that are increasingly becoming popular in Europe, especially, is services that are not related to the trip. And I would say that 95% of these examples is free wideband Wi-Fi on board. This is really appreciated by travelers, by passengers. On the first category, ICT, it can be really, can enhance customer experience because the customer is not lost in the train. He can see exactly where he is, how long it will take to the next station, and all this type of information. For the non-trip related services, I can just tell you an anecdote. In Italy, in the high-speed trains in Italy, for roughly 10 years, Wi-Fi has been provided for free. And since the beginning, there was an advertising saying, hurry up, because this is the last month it will be free. And it is still free, and it will be free. It is unthinkable to make a passenger pay for Wi-Fi on a train.
Now that we've got the preliminary comments from all our panelists on stage, we're sufficiently warmed up. Sumit, there he is. He's my co-anchor, and now he's going to take it away with the audience feedback and the audience input. Sumit.
We hear from our audience through our audience poll. So ladies and gentlemen, please pull out your smartphones. This is a very interesting question. Do you feel safe while traveling with Indian Railways? Yes or no? Here we have the results, 55 and 44. Mr. Bruno spoke about Italian railways having Wi-Fi, and I'm sure we would love to know, would there be a chance to have Wi-Fi that would help our commute, especially maybe in Bombay when we're going from Churchgate to Virar or CST onwards, or in Delhi? Will we soon be having free Wi-Fi for the commuters in the trains?
See, this Wi-Fi service we have already introduced. I'll talk about the Western Railway. We introduced on at Ahmedabad station about a year back. Then in January, it was introduced at Mumbai Central Station. And only recently, till I think just about 15 days back, it has been introduced at 8 or 9 stations, both on Central and Western.
No, so I meant more in the trains, not in the station. So that commute is the concern, I guess.
See, we have provided free internet services on a trial basis on one Rajdhani between Delhi and Calcutta. That is running well. It is on a trial basis. The system is costly. The bandwidth is costly because we are taking it from the satellite. We are trying to find out alternate solution. If alternate cheaper solutions are available, we will definitely go into it. Otherwise, the bandwidth from the satellite is a very, very costly thing. And we are providing today the internet services on that. So we have two options, either to start charging that so that we can limit the bandwidth, or we start providing some alternate cheaper solutions.
It's time now for a short break. The panel discussion on increasing railway capacity continues on the other side. We'll be right back.
Yeah, Delhi Metro is already designing the system for driverless trains.
Right.
Okay, next year, tentatively, we have planned that the trains will be launched.
Welcome back. You're watching the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum 2016. The discussion amongst our experts continues as they shed light on the role of information technology and information communication technology in increasing railway capacity.
Now I'm going to move forward to the quest for new signaling technology, where I'm going to look at digital signaling technologies and how they can play a better role in achieving better ride comfort as well as safety. So if I could start with you. Whether by derailments or collisions or level crossing accidents, around 15,000 people die every year, and that's a really sad statistic. How can signaling technology help towards this?
Digital technologies and signaling technologies can improve safety and security. It's only a matter of adapting it to the environment in which we are operating. Like for Bombay Suburban, I can give you a specific example. Like Bombay Suburban, if we have a positive braking and controlled trespass, the number of fatalities and injuries on these accounts can reduce. We know that. If we have automatic door closing, we know that number of injuries would reduce. It's only a question of how do we integrate everything into the system, which is already running 2,800 services per day and carrying 8 million passengers without disrupting anything.
Mangal, give us an overview of how you think digital signaling technology can help change the rules of the game. What are the exciting possibilities over here in this segment?
I will just quote the ongoing project of the dedicated freight corridor. And one of the key objectives on this project is to avoid this kind of mishaps, provide rail overbridge or rail underpasses. That is one. So from the very beginning, all the level crossings will have to be done like this. In addition to that, if there are certain level crossing, these are being linked to the signaling system. So every level crossing will have interlocking and axle counter connected, which will detect the train approaching and giving a warning to the gate man to close the gates. Therefore, at least the gates are closed and the people who are trying to cross, they have the information and they can secure themselves. So these are the two ways that the technology, one through civil construction, the other through the digital mechanism,
all right,
through the signaling system.
All right, point taken. Now the Modi government is very clear when it comes to adopting global best practices. That's been one of the planks on which the government has come to power, and the Prime Minister doesn't make any bones about the fact that if there's something good being done overseas in any sector, and if India can efficiently implement it, let's do that. And which brings me back to Bruno, because Bruno, now we're going to talk about the European Rail Traffic Management System. Indian Railways has introduced ETCS for the Gatiman Express and the Chennai Suburban Rail Network. Give us a sense of what sets this technology apart from others, Bruno.
I think that 90% of people here know the difference of the RTMS better than I do. So I am a rolling stock person, so I don't want to really...
All right, it's a pass from Bruno, but sir wants to add to that.
The Indian Railway has some time back decided to provide a system which will aid the loco pilots. Today, the loco pilots have no aid and they run on looking at the signals. If they find the signal green, they run at high speed. If they find the signal red, they are supposed to apply the brake. There is no aid to them, and ETCS or ERTMS is one of the technology which aids the driver in case if he is not able to control the train, if he is not able to apply the brake because of certain reasons, the system itself applies the brake. The system senses the signal and applies the brake. We have provided this in two sections, on Delhi-Agra and also on the Southern Railway.
In fact, a follow-on question, sir. What are some of the challenges of implementing this on a pan-India scale? Just to follow on from...
No, we have to learn from the experience.
What are the lessons that we can learn, sir? Because it's been implemented in certain other countries too, I think since 2005, 2006, correct me if I'm wrong. If you want to implement this on a pan-India scale, what are some of the challenges and what are some of the priorities that the government should keep in mind?
I think the cost would be the inhibiting factor, because not that we can't adopt and implement the technologies, but I think cost would be one where we'll have to think twice before we adopt this practice or technology.
All right. Would you like to add to that, sir? Yes, please. I like the fact that whenever there's a comment from Bombay, the Delhi counterpart is always also immediately ready. Please go ahead, sir.
Basically we have to distinguish what we are doing up till now and what this ETCS provides. You see, what we were doing up till now in Indian Railways was signaling. So basically we are giving a signal to the driver and it is up to the skill of the driver to stop the train. What does ETCS provide? It provides a train control. So basically if he violates the signal, the system controls the train. So this is the advantage, and dependence on driver reduces. As far as the challenge is concerned, like sir also mentioned that cost, the other thing is obviously the multiplicity and types of rolling stock we have, because this system has finally to interact with the train or the loco. So that is a challenge. Obviously we'll have to circumvent that, but there is no other solution other than this for a long distance train. India will have to go for this in a big way.
Ma'am, would you concur with him when it comes to the fact that he's saying that India would perhaps have to adopt this, the European rail traffic management system? It's inevitable.
Yes.
So would you like to throw some light on that
but
front?
For our capacity enhancements, I think this initiative has to be taken. We have to make a beginning in this. Even if there is a funding problem, we have to work out the solution for that, various streams of revenue generation, and we have to take this initiative.
And on that note, I'll have to toss it back to Sumit.
We have the final poll question here. Is the Indian railway ecosystem ready for smart cards? 55% say yes, 45% say no. I have a question. By when do you think we will have driverless trains on the Indian tracks?
Delhi Metro is already designing the system for driverless trains.
Right.
Okay, next year, tentatively, we have planned that the trains will be launched. And as is practice world over, you see, whenever any operator launches a driverless system, for the initial period, they are drivers, then progressively they are removed. Maybe every alternate train, there is a driver, and progressively they are removed. So whatever system we are now putting up, almost around 80 kilometers, which is going to be commissioned next year, starting next year, that is planned for driverless.
We're running out of time, so it's time now for closing remarks. And since the theme of the conference, of course, is tech, we must also look at the fact that it's not really been a rosy past few years for the economy. So therefore, there's been a ripple effect on the IT budgets, which have been really tight. What's the way out of that, sir?
We have to make a project report and we have to see that the project is viable. Because ultimately, for investment, we have to see that the project is viable. We have to find out, and like what my colleagues from the metro have said, you have to have a fair structure which at least gives you a revenue profit. At least the operating losses should not be there.
Ma'am, any closing remarks from you before we wrap up?
Actually, we have a plan for future, for next 20 years. 240 kilometers of suburban network has to be added. So not only the improving the existing system, there is a need to look into that, because on one side we are seeing the increasing the capacity with the technology innovation. On other side, I would say that the demand, the density, the level of service on the trains should be on international level at least. That is the first objective we should keep in mind.
I'll leave the last word to Mangal. Go ahead, Mangal.
I would say that Indian Railways or the authorities who operate and construct railways, they need to have a roadmap as how to integrate IT into their system. So just like they have budget for assets, the rolling stock, the track and electrification, they need to set aside budget for IT, have a roadmap how to spend and how to generate revenue and provide customer experience using the IT.
All right, with that we have come to the end of this railway-focused discussion and hope it's been enlightening. I would like to thank all my panelists.
With that, it's a wrap on the Mumbai edition of the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum 2016. I'm sure all the thought-provoking sessions have left you with a lot of food for thought about India's transition into the digital age. Goodbye and many thanks for watching.